Well, sure enough, my voice is still not there like yesterday when I was recording this Pegasus episode. But anyways, let's go straight to what I'm about to say. Today, it's the presence of hidden tunnels beneath Milan. Italy's Sforza castle has been verified by recent archaeological finds which correspond with drawings created by Leonardo da Vinci in 1495. So just a few feet below the surface, researchers from the Politecnico di Milano discovered a system of underground passages, which is amazing. And the discovery was made possible by a series of surveys that sought to use non-destructive techniques like ground-penetrating radar and laser scanning to digitize the underlying structures of the 15th century Sforza castle. The Politecnico di Milano made the announcement in January, and Francesca Biolo, an architect and research fellow in the Politecnico di Milano's School of Architecture, Built Environment and Construction Engineering, started the surveys as a doctoral thesis in 2021 and completed them in 2023. Ground-penetrating radars have detected a network of passages underneath the famed citadel better known as Sforza Castle, or Castello originally, I would say. Maybe that was the technology I was looking for in the episode 47, when I was talking about this new Mexican discovery. So let's not go back there. But today, initially, Biolo and her colleagues plan to digitize the space beneath the castle's defensive outer wall, the Ghirlanda. And the castle has a famous underground walkway that is open to visitors and runs around the outside of the moat. To the researchers' astonishment, however, their examination uncovered a second hidden tunnel that specialists had only speculated about for years. And about 1 meter below the surface, the second tunnel runs parallel to the first. The researchers also discovered additional tunnels, and nearly all of which were constructed of brick and had bare vaults or curved ceilings. And one of these tunnels leads to the Basilica of Santa Maria delle Grazie, which is the final resting place of Duke Ludovico Sforza's wife. I won't be discussing the Assassin's Creed franchise, so please avoid this episode if you're a fan. But synchronicities either do exist or we have this evolutionary trait of pattern recognition, typically in our personal favor. What happened was, a couple of weeks ago, I was rereading The Ugly Renaissance book, and on the 29th of January, when my home team Dinamo Zagreb won against Milan, then by work-related coincidence, I met someone who catch my attention not only by wearing a Milan crew neck, but for many other reasons related to my past and my personal preferences. Okay, I know, I understand, I'm being cryptic now, so let's move forward to February the 4th, while planning ahead and looking for what I'm going to research for episode 54. My Firefox browser recommended me a story from an established scientific magazine. It is an algorithm based on my previous searches or manifestation of my subconscious through synchronistic events. Well, that is open for speculation. Whatever it is, it definitely caught my attention. So, well, I should have predicted it in Visconti Sforza deck I possess, I guess. Sforza Castle, located in Milan, Italy, was originally constructed by Galeazzo II Visconti between 1358 and 1370. If you're familiar with the Golden Turret, better known as the Visconti Sforza deck, allegedly made by Bonifacio Bembo, a prominent Italian Renaissance artist, you might understand the origins of the story. Born in Brescia around 1420, Bonifacio Bembo was a well-known artist of the North Italian Renaissance. His brothers, Benedetto and Andrea, were also painters. He was the son of Giovanni Bembo, a painter who worked in Cremona. Bembo produced portraits of Francesco Sforza and his wife Bianca Maria Visconti for the Sforza family, who were his main clientele in Cremona. The Visconti Sforza deck, terra deck, which Bembo made for Bianca Maria Visconti and Francesco Sforza around 1455, is among his most well-known creations. And it is a common knowledge 4 cards were missing from the original Visconti Sforza tarot deck. It was the Devil, the Tower, 3 of Swords, and Knight of Coins. Since we don't know which order cards went missing, let's assume for the moment that they were mentioned in that order. And 4 card spreads are less complicated than larger spreads, but give more detail than 3 card spreads, achieving a compromise between simplicity and depth. So why not use the past, present, future, and advice spread, which gives direction and insight into the inquirer's timeline? This 4-card tarot spread reveals a challenging journey from past struggles to future growth with practical advice for moving forward. If we believe that the temptation is a devil, that the Tower represents a disastrous transformation as a result, and that the 3 swords represent heartache, then the Knight of Coins' counsel is to be patient. Is this what happened, or is it still going on? I don't know. It's all about your interpretation. Non lo so. Non sono una strega. I just love history. Anyways, Galeazzo II Visconti, who was born again in 1320 and died on August 4th, 1378, was a prominent member of the Visconti dynasty and served as the ruler of Milan. His reign marked significant developments in the political landscape of northern Italy, particularly through military campaigns and cultural patronage. Let me just briefly remind you to his achievements. Galeazzo II's military conflicts are well known, particularly his 1367 conflict with Pope Gregory XI. Although hostilities remained, especially during the War of Eight Saints in 1375 because of connections with Florence, these battles ended in a peace accord, and beginning in 1349 he was instrumental in making the Visconti family the hereditary rulers of Milan. His effective conquest of Pavia in 1359 cemented his family's dominance in the area and served as a strategic basis for additional military campaigns. Galeazzo II was a patron of poets and thinkers, most famously supporting Petrarch. In 1361, he established the University of Pavia, which grew to be a significant cultural and educational hub. The legacy of Galeazzo II is entwined with that of his successor, Gian Galeazzo Visconti, who further strengthened the family's influence. So, Galeazzo II made a substantial contribution to Milan's political and cultural landscape, despite his reign being characterized by both accomplishments and cruelty, such as the creation of the notorious Quaresima torture protocol. He passed away in 1378, leaving behind a nuanced legacy that would affect the Visconti's dynasty succeeding generations. Indeed, he was the one who started the building of important architectural projects, such as the initial stages of the future Sforza castle, formerly known as the Castle of Porta Giovia. This stronghold, which was constructed between 1360 and 1370, was Milan's defensive construction. Later, it was enlarged and turned into a magnificent home by his son Gian Galeazzo Visconti. When Francesco Sforza became Duke of Milan in 1450, he significantly expanded and rebuilt the castle. Both him and later Francesco Sforza were 2 key figures in the construction and renovation of the castle. Well, then Francesco continued after he defeated the Golden Ambrosian Republic. Just so you know, the Golden Ambrosian Republic, in Italian Ora Repubblica Ambrosiana, was a short-lived government established in Milan from 1447 to 1450. It emerged following the death of Duke Filippo Maria Visconti, who left no male heirs, creating a power vacuum that led to political turmoil in the city. The Republic was proclaimed on August 14, 1447, by citizens of Milan and members of the University of Pavia, rejecting hereditary rule and aiming for a more representative government. It was named, of course, after the Saint Ambrose, the patron saint of Milan. Francesco Sforza initially supported the Republic as its military leader. However, as political dynamics shifted, he ultimately turned against it. The Republic faced significant external threats, particularly from the Republic of Venice, which sought to expand its influence in the region. The Sforza-led forces defended Milan against Venetian attacks, but later became embroiled in betrayal and shifting alliances. Sforza effectively starved the city into submission, and on March 22, 1450, he entered Milan as its new duke, marking the end of the Republic and the beginning of Sforza's rule. The Golden Ambrosial Republic is often viewed as an experiment in governance that ultimately failed due to political infighting and external aggression. Its brief existence highlighted the complexities of power dynamics in Renaissance Italy and set the stage for the Sforza dynasty's dominance in Milanese politics. So, Francesco Sforza, the founder of the Sforza dynasty in Milan, was, again, well-known Italian condottiero, or mercenary, who was born on July 23, 1401, and died on March 8, 1466. From 1450 until the end of his life, he was the Duke of Milan, and his ascent to power was characterized by both political scheming and military prowess. Born in Romagna, started out as a mercenary commander who participated in a number of battles in 1420s, such as the War of L'Aquila and the Battle against Venice. Filippo Maria Visconti eventually engaged him to defend Milan, where he gained notoriety for his military prowess. On March 25, 1450, he and his bride, Bianca Maria Visconti, were greeted as liberators after successfully besieging Milan. And after Duke Filippo Maria Visconti died, Francesco took over Milan and established his rule. Through the Treaty of Lodi in 1454, which created a balance of power among Italian powers, he was instrumental in stabilizing the area. And during his tenure, he made considerable improvements to the Visconti Castle, which would later be renamed Sforza Castle as part of his effort to fortify Milan's defenses. And in addition to establish a strong dynasty, Francesco Sforza made important contributions to Milan's architectural and cultural landscape. His son, Galeazzo Maria Sforza, succeeded him. Up to the late 16th century, Milan was still influenced by the Sforza dynasty. Political theory frequently examines his life and tactics, and Machiavelli cites him as an example of successful leadership. It is also worth mentioning that between 1441 and April 1442, notorious condottiero Sigismondo Malatesta married Polissena Sforza, the daughter of Francesco Sforza, and Giovanna d'Acquapendente, his mistress. And Sigismondo Pandolfo Malatesta was known for his ferocity and brutality. He was viewed as a brutal and dishonest tyrant. Pope Pius II accused Sigismondo of betraying his country, excommunicated him, labeled him as a heretic, and accused him of a number of misdeeds, including sodomy and incest, which damaged his reputation for decades. Sigismondo Pandolfo Malatesta governed Rimini and Fano from 1432. Malatesta later helped Galeazzo Malatesta assault Alessandro Sforza in Pesaro and take over Monte Lauro in 1445, but that is a whole other story. Let's go back to Sforza Castle. After Francesco's passing, Galeazzo Maria Sforza embellished the castle with additional structures and frescoes. The castle's architecture evolved to include massive corner towers and fortified walls, making it one of the largest citadels in Europe at the period. Over the years, it has accommodated several artists and served a range of purposes, including military and residential ones. Today, Sforza Castle is a popular historical site and museum in Milan. In order to turn it into a magnificent home, Sforza started making significant repairs. In 1452, he engaged Filarete, Antonio di Pietro Averlino, an architect, to create and embellish the Torre del Filarete, the central tower. This signaled a move toward the principles of Renaissance architecture. It is up for debate whether or not one of the missing cars from the Visconti Sforza terror deck depicted that building. The castle, also known as Castello Sforzesco in Italian, is a prominent fortification located in Milan, as I have said. It was originally built, yes, by Francesco Sforza, and it stands on the site of a previous 14th century fortress constructed by the Visconti family. Again, the castle has undergone numerous renovations and expansions, particularly during the 16th and the 17th centuries, making it one of the largest citadels in Europe at the time. Still, three lords, Carlo Visconti, Girolamo Oligiati, and Giovanni Andrea Lampugnani, conspired to assassinate Galeazzo Maria in the Basilica di Santo Stefano on December 26, 1476. Anyways, Sforza Castle, as I have said, is characterized by its imposing structure, fortified walls, and distinctive towers. The central tower, known as the Torre del Filarete, is named after its designer Antonio Averlino Filarete, and who contributed to its iconic silhouette. And the castle's design reflects a blend of military functionality and Renaissance aesthetics both. Galeazzo II Visconti started building the castle in the middle of the 14th century, but it was Francesco Sforza who turned it into a stately home and military fortress starting in 1450. The castle's architecture and operation have been influenced by the many kings who have occupied it over the ages, including the French, Spanish, and Austrians. It was renovated during the late 1800s to become a center of culture with a number of museums and libraries. During Ludovico Sforza's rule, the castle notable interior spaces include the Rondanini Pieta Museum and Sala dell'Asse, which has a ceiling painted by Leonardo da Vinci that represents a canopy of and twin branches, and that represents both nature and political authority. This museum houses Michelangelo's final creation, the incomplete sculpture he worked on his last years. Additionally, the castle is home to a number of museums, including ones that focuses on ornamental arts, music, and ancient art, with collections ranging from the Middle Ages to the present. The immense appeal of Milan, Italy's Sforza's castle is a reflection of its architectural and historical significance, and as previously indicated, its historical relevance in the game's plot is highlighted by its inclusion in the Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition campaign, where players can assume the role of Francesco Sforza. The House of Sforza is also mentioned in a number of works. For instance, the House of Sforza is connected to the well-known Hannibal series, since Thomas Harris's character Hannibal Lecter is descended from them. Well, I didn't know that, but that's not that important. The TV show Medici and the Borgias, which both examine the politics and intrigue of Renaissance Italy, make reference to the Sforza family. The Sforza family and their impact on Milan are frequently mentioned in historical dramas about Renaissance Italy, even though they are not explicitly about Sforza Castle. And this subtly emphasized the castle's function as a political and cultural hub. With its many art collections and historical relics, including pieces by Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, the castle itself is a center of culture, and this adds to its cultural relevance by making it a well-liked travel destination for art lovers and historians. Visitors interested in art, history, and architecture are drawn to its numerous civic museums and libraries. In addition, the castle's ground offers a charming backdrop for exhibitions and activities all year round. In conclusion, Sforza's castle is a thriving cultural hub that is not only a historical site but also plays a crucial part in Milan's identity and legacy. In addition to his mastery in the arts and sciences, Leonardo da Vinci was a highly accomplished expert in military architecture and defensive systems. And during the Renaissance, his designs and inventions revolutionized battle tactics. Researchers were only able to make educated guesses about a hidden feature beneath a medieval castle in Milan, Italy, based on a sketch by Leonardo from circa 1495 and references in other historical sources. These passageways were probably meant for soldiers to use in the event that the castle's defenses were breached. Although mapping every subsurface structure is still impractical, researchers believe that there are yet more to be discovered, according to Biolo. Also, according to her, the castle's original footprint was almost 6 times larger than what is now visible above ground, with a current footprint of about 40,000 square meters. Both in the end of the 19th century and during the Napoleonic Wars, the castle underwent substantial restorations and demolitions. But according to Biolo, these new findings reveal that not everything was lost. I guess the subterranean has remnants of our history, not only from this period, but from numerous others. And for the end, all of this is beyond fascinating, and I honestly cannot wait for the next trip to Italy or possible new discoveries, and hopefully by then I'll have my own studio and guests who can tell us more about this rich and complex historical period. Still, no matter how much material you have, you always have to select just the best. So go, travel and see Sforza Castle, Guaita Tower in San Marino, or Palazzo dei Normanni in Palermo. And wherever you go, remember, stay selective. Ciao a tutti. Bye.